We all love the NBA because it's unpredictable. We're always on the edge of our seats, expecting the unexpected, but when something happens that makes too much sense, people start asking questions. And this is when the NBA conspiracy theories come out, and we're going to start with a very famous controversial NBA moment. The year was 1985. 7 NBA teams had a 14.3% chance of winning the draft lottery. And that happened to be the year Patrick Ewing was coming off an amazing career at Georgetown. Pat Ewing was the next best thing, and everyone knew it. And at the time, the New York Knicks were a big market team, but weren't very good. And as the conspiracy goes, David Stern wanted to draw attention to the struggling Knicks to generate more money for the league. So the New York Knicks envelope was allegedly frozen before being put into the spinning ball so that David Stern knew which one to choose. And who would have guessed? The New York Knicks won the first pick. Or in 1993, when the Orlando Magic won the draft lottery with just a 1.5% chance. Just because the league wanted to give Orlando Magic, a small market team, another player to pair along with Shaq. Because the league wanted small markets to compete as well. 2003, when the Cavs happened to win the draft lottery the same year the hometown kid LeBron James was available. Or 2016, when Dikembe Mutombo sent out a tweet congratulating the 76ers on winning the lottery before they even won it. Pretty suspicious, and it may seem far-fetched that such a huge organization like the NBA would risk everything just for a few more dollars. And that's because it is too far-fetched. The NBA did not rig these drafts. If the league wanted to give a huge market team like the Knicks the first pick in the draft to increase league revenue, then who will explain how the New York Knicks didn't have a top 5 pick from 1986 to 2016? 30 years without a top 5 pick. And it's not like they were some amazing team during that entire 30-year stretch. They had some bad teams. And then why 8 years later would they give the first pick to a small market team like the Orlando Magic, which would contradict what they did 8 years prior? And when it comes to LeBron James going to his hometown team or Dikembe making tweets that predict the future, people failed to realize that both the Cavs and the Sixers had the greatest chance at winning the draft lottery. People were all over the Dikembe situation. Dikembe Mutombo probably saw the Sixers had the best chance at the #1 pick and thought they won it. Why would the NBA pull off such a dedicated operation to rig a draft and then tell Dikembe Mutombo about it? Now, if I'm being honest, these NBA conspiracies become a little more compelling when we talk about games that seemed fixed. Well, because the Tim Donaghy scandal was a thing. And the draft lottery is just that, a lottery. It's hard to prove something is fixed when it's literally chosen randomly. So let's dive into moments that we can actually see and judge ourselves. We'll start with the Lakers because when researching for this video, the Lakers had a lot of controversial moments, and there are people who say that for years, the NBA has been helping the Lakers succeed because they generate so much money. Starting back in 1988 when the Los Angeles Lakers found themselves down 3-2 against the bad boy Pistons. Looking to close out the Lakers and win the championship, the Pistons found themselves up by 2 points with 14 seconds left. Kareem gets fouled by Bill Laimbeer on a play where people say Bill didn't even touch him. Kareem hits both free throws and the Lakers end up winning Game 6 and finished off the Pistons in Game 7 to win the NBA title. And a lot of people say that the Pistons were robbed of a championship that year. But if you just watched the play from this angle, Bill kind of fouled him. Now I know 1988 was a tougher time, but you're basing a whole Lakers conspiracy off of this? Okay. I'm not going to ignore the elephant in the room. Take us to the Kobe and Shaq era. Considered golden years for the Lakers, we are all aware of the great success that Shaq and Kobe had. And while they were such a dominant force, people say that the NBA helped them win more championships than they should have. Because like the conspiracy theories say, the NBA just wanted to make more money. Not helping his case, David Stern was once asked what the ideal NBA matchup was, and he said, the Lakers versus the Lakers. So I know it's not a far stretch of someone's imagination to put 1 and 2 together and assume games are being fixed. And 2 games that were famously questioned for being fixed was Game 7 of the 2000 Western Conference Finals, with the Lakers matched up against the Portland Trail Blazers, and Game 6 of the 2002 Western Conference Finals, where the Lakers were hosting the Kings. And in both of these cases, the Lakers were down by a lot late in the game, shot a lot of free throws, and they ended up winning both of those games and both of those series, with both seasons resulting in championships. And after taking a look at these fixed fourth quarters for myself, I'm going to be honest, it did at times seem favored for the Lakers. Clean box being called fouls, questionable offensive calls. I mean, even the commentators were saying that it seemed strange. And after watching these for myself, honestly, my opinion didn't change. There were some missed calls, and probably a lot of missed calls, and I think these two games specifically get talked about so much because people wanted to see the Lakers lose. No one talks about how in Games 5 and Game 7, a lot of calls were in favor of the Sacramento Kings. Poor officiating is nothing new, and a lot of these calls were questionable at most. Refs make mistakes just like players do, and that will never change. And people don't want to take that into account because, well, that doesn't fit the narrative of a conspiracy theory. If David Stern loved the Lakers so much, why would he veto the Chris Paul trade, stopping Kobe and Chris from teaming up in LA? Because that would make a lot of money. I mean, come on. These conspiracy theorists actually said that Michael Jordan was kicked out of the league in '93 rather than leaving because of gambling problems. Do you understand how much money the NBA was making on Michael Jordan? If it was all about money, the NBA wouldn't even think about doing this. We love the NBA because we don't know what's going to happen. So I understand feeling negative when it feels like we do. But if I had to put my money on it, I'd say the NBA was not in on any rigging of its games or drafts. Why would the National Basketball Association go through all the trouble rigging things to go a certain way? Because so many things have happened that didn't go their way. You think a Bucks-Suns finals was wanted? You think the NBA wanted LeBron and the newly formed Heat to lose against the Dallas Mavericks? There were so many more money-making opportunities that were missed. People are so fast to point fingers and blame people when things don't go their way. They just make a broad statement with nothing to back it up. What if I asked who's behind these conspiracies? Who's involved in the execution? An explanation on how there were never any whistleblowers whatsoever, and actually consider the extremely high risk of such an operation. How much would that even benefit the already booming business of the NBA? This high risk, low reward situation doesn't seem worth it in any way. But I guess we will truly never know for sure. But if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps greatly, and all the recent support is very appreciated. But until next time, I'm out.